there's a new kind of skyline rivalry playing out over Manila. Not the usual contest between Makati, BGC, and Ortigas, but a deeper race about identity. The question isn't only who will build the tallest, it's which tower will become the first truly iconic Filipino super tall, the one that anchors postcards, rebrands districts, and announces a new phase of national ambition. On paper, the country already has a candidate. Grand Hyatt Manila, Metrobank Center, touted at 318 meters by developer and third-party sources, has been called the Philippines' tallest since 2017. But the CTBUH entry for the complex pegs the main tower's height near 259 meters roof, sparking a years-long debate over which standard and which figure should count in the global rankings. That discrepancy is not trivia. It's the spark behind the phrase first iconic super tall, because it suggests the Philippines still hasn't unveiled a consensus, head-turning, uncontested 300 meters plus landmark designed to be the national silhouette. Now, a cluster of next-wave ideas, a government iconic tower for BGC, an ambitious private competition entry proposed at approximately 388 meters, and a new megac in Makati pushing structural innovation, though below 300 meters. Hint that the race is alive again. If one of these visions clears airspace rules, financing cycles, and engineering tests, the Philippines could finally hoist a globally indisputable super tall, and the country's first iconic one at that. What counts as a super tall, and where does the Philippines stand? Globally, a super tall is 300 to 599 meters. Southeast Asia already showcases several: Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, Ho Chi Minh City, and the region's completions keep climbing. The Philippines, by contrast, has seen its skyline mature at 200 to 275 meters for 2 decades, with Grand Hyatt Manila commonly cited at 318 meters by multiple non-CTBUH sources. Yet its Skyscraper Center entry lists approximately 259 meters for the main tower, underscoring the measurement debate. Even so, Manila's inventory of 200 meters plus towers keeps thickening. In Makati, BGC, Ortigas, and the iconic 300 meters plus gap is precisely where developers want to plant a flag. The tall building scoreboard today. Most lists still name Grand Hyatt Manila/Metrobank Center as the country's tallest, ahead of PBCom Tower, 258.6 meters, and several 240 to 250 meter piers. Trump Tower Manila, Gramercy Residences, Discovery Prima, Shangri-La at the Fort. In short, lots of high-rises, many near super tall, but no single, undisputed, globally acknowledged 300 meters plus icon that defines the nation's skyline. Why the race now? New civic and private signals have revived momentum. BCDA's icon/icon tower concept in BGC, proposed as the agency's own iconic HQ, has circulated for years with competition-winning designs from Henning Larsen. References vary from approximately 308 meters to an iconic profile, reinforcing an official appetite for a skyline statement. Golden Topper's BGC Icon Tower, a competition entry promoted at approximately 388 meters, surfaced in 2024 community and blog posts, signaling that private developers are exploring super tall class massing and branding. Caveat: not an official approval, but an indicator of design ambition and investor mood. BDO's new corporate center Makati, 272 meters and 220 meters twin towers by Foster Plus Partners, won't break the 300 meters line but is symbolically important. It introduces advanced steel and seismic systems, BRB frames, a strong sustainability brief, and a target 2028 delivery. Proof that taller, more technical builds are bankable in Manila's current risk/return climate. The race, then, is not only about height, it's about financing, approvals, airspace, and engineering converging at once, producing a tower that the world undisputedly calls a super tall and the public embraces as iconic. The so-called Grand Hyatt paradox isn't a controversy. It's a lesson in how we measure tall. On screen, two figures appear over the same complex. 318 meters on developer pages and about 259 meters in the records of the Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat. The tower at Grand Hyatt Metro Center fills the frame as diagrams clarify the difference between architectural top and roof height and how multi-tower complexes are counted. The narrator. Different definitions produce different answers. That's why a country can feel like it has a super tall and still keep asking if it truly does. That ambiguity fuels momentum for a clear, above 300-meter project with no measurement caveats. The tone shifts. Why not just build higher? Rain drifts across Manila's skyline as the answer turns practical. Seismic risk, typhoon winds, challenging soil, and high operating costs all raise the threshold for 300-meter towers. Engineers rely on damping systems, wind tunnel testing, and buckling restrained bracing to make tall buildings viable. Footage from Makati shows a major headquarters project under 300 meters framed as a proving ground. Resilience, carbon efficiency, and cost control at scale. Push that formula to 350 or 400 meters, and complexity and expense rise sharply. Height here is less about ambition than about managing risk. The camera tilts to flight paths mapped across the city. Sometimes the biggest limits aren't structural, they're invisible. Airport approach corridors and protected airspace quietly cap heights in central districts. Projects in Bonifacio, Global City, and Makati must align with aviation rules as much as engineering ones. A state-backed concept from the Bases Conversion and Development Authority, ICON, emerges as a test case for placing extreme height within those limits. It's not just how tall you design, the narrator says, but how tall you're allowed to place. Renderings shift to symbolic forms. Iconic doesn't mean only vertical, it means cultural. A proposal by Henning Larsson draws from Mayan volcano and foregrounds public space. Another by Golden Topper imagines a jasmine-inspired exoskeleton rising toward 388 meters. The narration links them to global examples. The Petronas Towers, Merdeka 118, and Taipei 101. Towers remembered for meaning as much as height. The Philippines' breakthrough will likely be judged the same way. A final note grounds the story. No Philippine supertall above 300 meters is actively rising in 2026. Financing cycles, infrastructure, and district readiness still need to align. The narrator closes. The first unambiguous icon is still an open lane. When it arrives, it won't just mark a height, it will mark the moment everything else finally lined up. We open on a split screen. 318 meters on the left, 259 meters on the right. One structure, two heights. The numbers hover in silence long enough to feel uncomfortable. Then, the voiceover arrives. In the language of skyscrapers, height is never just height. On one side, a technical diagram highlights spires, roof lines, and occupiable floors. On the other, glossy developer brochures celebrate skyline dominance. Between them sits the rule book from the Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat, quietly defining what counts and what doesn't. Antennas don't count. Architectural tops do. Observation decks sometimes matter more than crowns. The result, a building can be the tallest in a nation's marketing and still fall short on paper. The narrator continues. A skyline can win the headline while losing the metric. Both truths can exist at once. The camera drops from the skyline to the street. We glide across a plaza where concrete meets planted terraces, public seating, and a stage framed by trees. Renderings show people moving through shade rather than shadows. Families crossing an open forecourt, commuters pausing under a canopy, a small concert unfolding beneath a tower that doesn't just rise, but gives something back. The idea is subtle but deliberate. In dense cities, the ground plane is as symbolic as the skyline. A tall building that hoards space feels dated. One that returns it feels civic. Then, the visuals shift. Traffic glints under a different proposal. A 388-meter form inspired by a jasmine bloom, twisting upward above the grid of Bonifacio Global City. Glass catches sunset light. A sky garden hovers near the top. Luxury branding promises a 5-star pinnacle. The narrator reframes the competition. Height alone no longer secures memory. Towers now need meaning, performance, and public life. Or they fade into the background of their own skylines. Morning rain hits steel at a construction site in Makati. Cranes pivot slowly, their booms cutting arcs through low clouds. The voiceover shifts into engineering language, but keeps it human. Buckling, restrained, braced frames absorbing seismic energy. Exoskeleton systems reducing interior columns. Facades designed to cut heat gain in a tropical climate. Cooling systems shift toward radiant panels and smarter airflow. Gray water loops back through irrigation systems. Mechanical floors double as environmental lungs. This isn't spectacle for its own sake, it's adaptation. In typhoon zones and seismic belts, tall buildings must be resilient first and iconic second. The narrator. The next generation of towers here won't compete only on meters. They'll compete on how little energy they waste, how much water they reuse, and how safely they stand when the ground moves. A title appears briefly. 2028 target, a different kind of tall. The perspective pulls even farther back, past one skyline, past one country, into a global dashboard of high-rise data. Bars climb upward. Since the late 2000s, completions above 200 meters have surged worldwide. More than 250 supertalls now stand across continents once considered unlikely hosts. The boom isn't confined to megacities anymore. It's spreading into regions balancing growth with risk, ambition with regulation. The narrator reframes the narrative of delay. Arriving later can mean arriving wiser. Tougher zoning rules, complex geology, and evolving sustainability standards slow timelines, but they also raise the bar. When a country finally delivers its first undisputed icon, the building carries more than height. It carries proof that the skyline matured before it stretched. We return to the opening numbers, 318 and 259, now joined by a third metric, performance, energy use, public space ratio, structural resilience. The narrator closes. In the end, the race isn't only to be tallest, it's to build something that still matters when the numbers change. Because they always do. Here's my read. The Philippines' first iconic supertall will happen when 4 switches flip at the same time. 1. Undisputed height and classification. A tower that clears 300 meters in a way CTBUH records as such, with no parsing ambiguities. That resolves the "is it really a super tall" debate and sets a clean, media-ready narrative. 2. Civic brief, not just private logic. Icons work when they anchor public life. The icon competition instincts, plaza, shade, exhibition, observatory, are on the right track. A 388-meter private entry can win hearts if it delivers public access and distinct Filipino storytelling, not only hotel keys and rents. 3. Siting within airspace plus infra. Expect the victor to stand away from critical approach paths within a district that can feed power, water, and transit reliably. That's why BGC and Makati remain the natural stages. They're where utilities, districts, and governance can align. 4. Bankable engineering. The winning scheme will use seismic smart, wind-tuned systems, BRBs, mega braces, tuned mass damping, and OPEX-cutting sustainability, radiant cooling, high-performance facade, water reuse. What we see in BDO's HQ at sub 300 meters is the dress rehearsal for a 300 to 400 meters chapter. So, who's ahead? BCDA's Icon has institutional momentum and an urban design ethos, which matters for public legitimacy. The Golden Topper 388 meters idea brings height ambition and brand drama, but it must transition from competition buzz to formal approvals and finance. Meanwhile, BDO's Makati HQ signals that serious tech-forward towers can be delivered under present market conditions, raising the industry's ceiling even if it doesn't cross 300 meters. Net-net, this is a three-way relay, not a sprint. For viewers who build, invest, or just love cities, here's how to read the next 2 years. Watch the filings, not the renders. When a 300 meters plus project hits formal height clearances and pre-lease/pre-sale thresholds, that's your inflection. Until then, treat 350 to 400 meters visuals as directional. Check Skyscraper Center under construction lists and government bulletins for confirmation. Meter your expectations on First Iconic. It might not be the tallest by 2050. It just needs to be the first that sticks. A tower that people visit, photograph, and recognize. The only way to win that is meaningful public realm plus clear height legitimacy. Engineering is the competitive edge. With Ring of Fire dynamics and Typhoon winds, advanced structures are not a luxury. They're the ticket to entry. The BDO HQ playbook, BRB's exoskeleton logic, lifecycle carbon, is the template that a super tall will have to scale. Expect timing to follow the macro. As rates ease and office/hotel demand recalibrate, the economics for a 300 to 400 meter project improve. Icons are born when capital cycles and civic priorities align. BCDA's role suggests the public sector is willing to co-shape that outcome. The Philippines has never lacked talent or taste. Its towers already hold their own at 200 to 275 meters. What the country wants next is clarity. A super tall that's unarguably over 300 meters, obviously Filipino in story and space, and open enough to belong to everyone. Whether it's a civic spire in BGC, a poetic private 388-meter needle, or a third path we haven't seen yet, the race is no longer about if. It's about who will align design, approvals, and money first. When that happens, Manila won't just be taller, it will be legible to the world at one glance. And that's when a building stops being a building and becomes an icon.